Imagine a missile so advanced that it can be reprogrammed mid-flight, like a secret weapon that adapts on the fly. It can target any of 15 preset options or switch to entirely new GPS coordinates in an instant. This missile has a connection to satellites, sending back images of destruction in real time. Commanders can see the damage, assess the success, and adapt their next move powerful, precise, unstoppable. Now, picture the flexibility of a weapon that can target a command post, ammunition depot, or fortified bunker all with the same device. No need for multiple missile types. This versatility could change how wars are fought. But there's a catch. This missile was originally designed for ships and submarines, platforms Ukraine doesn't possess. The obvious alternative? The U.S. Army's Typhon launcher system. Launched from mobile trailers on land, Typhon can fire the same advanced missiles behind enemy lines. It uses the same vertical launch system as the Navy, capable of firing Tomahawks and interceptors. Its real secret? Mobility. It can be deployed, repositioned, and concealed within minutes. Ukrainian forces could send volleys of missiles and then vanish before Russia can respond, like ghosts on the battlefield. But delays loom. The U.S. has been hesitant to hand this system over. With production just beginning and no official transfer announced, Ukraine faces a harsh reality. Developing a ground launcher from scratch would take months or years, leaving a window where the enemy could strengthen their defenses or strike back. Yet, amid these challenges, Ukraine's industry has become a powerhouse for drones, producing millions of unmanned aircraft capable of penetrating enemy lines. These devices already gather crucial intelligence, feeding data to guide missiles with devastating accuracy. So, how does this all compare? Consider the weapons Ukraine already has: precision systems like the ATACMS and Storm Shadow missiles, which are effective but limited by range. ATACMS can strike about 190 miles away, reaching targets near the front lines or just inside Russian territory. Storm Shadow extends that to 150 miles, flying high and fast, yet still short of the most strategic Russian assets. The moment of truth comes into focus. Will Ukraine harness these new missile systems to tip the balance? Or will delays, political hesitation, and logistical hurdles leave them vulnerable? And what happens if Russia retaliates with its own advanced defenses? The battlefield is on the edge of transformation. One wrong move, one missed opportunity, could set the stage for a conflict unlike any seen before. The stakes have never been higher, and the clock is ticking. The question remains, will Ukraine's new weapons strategy succeed, or will it fall into the shadows of the unknown? Early in 2025, Ukraine found itself on the brink of a new era, one that could reshape the entire battlefield. The potential introduction of long-range missiles like the Tomahawk poses a shocking question. Could this be Ukraine's secret weapon to finally outflank Russia's defenses? But deploying such technology isn't simple. It's riddled with hurdles that could turn victory into chaos overnight. Imagine the tension simmering just beneath the surface as the possibility of war escalation threatens to ignite at any moment. The core challenge lies in integrating these advanced missiles into Ukraine's existing military fabric. Tomahawks are originally designed as naval weapons, launched from ships or submarines. Ukraine has neither the vessels nor submarine fleets capable of deploying them. The most promising solution is the ground-based Typhon launcher system, developed by Lockheed Martin. This mobile system uses standardized vertical launch modules, the same used by the U.S. Navy. Its secret? Mobility. It can be deployed, concealed, and repositioned within minutes, striking unpredictably and vanishing before Russian forces can respond. But even this marvel faces delays. The U.S. has been hesitant to provide these systems, fearing escalation. Now, imagine the scene: Ukrainian forces deploying the Typhon system in secret, amid the roar of engines and the scent of burnt rubber. They can fire salvos swiftly, then retreat before the enemy even realizes what hit them. Yet, without official transfers, this remains a battlefield fantasy. Even the upcoming Oshkosh XMAV system, announced recently, is still in production, out of reach for now. The risk? Ukraine may need to craft makeshift solutions, mounting missiles on trucks, adapting aircraft, or developing new ground platforms, each step fraught with technical nightmares. But technical challenges aren't the only obstacle. Tomahawks rely critically on intelligence. To strike with precision, they need detailed terrain maps, real-time target imagery, and threat assessments. This celestial dance of data sharing, often coordinated with NATO allies, could falter at any moment. When Russia's leadership perceives these moves as threats, intelligence flow may abruptly cut off. Past incidents show how fragile this cooperation is, especially when political tensions spike, forcing Ukraine to rely on its own drone industry instead. They manufacture up to 8 million drones annually, capable of spying deep behind enemy lines, lighting up the night with their buzzing engines and blinking lights, scanning the terrain, providing crucial battlefield insights. To understand how game-changing these missiles truly are, we must compare them to what Ukraine already has. The Army's arsenal includes systems like the MGM-140 attackers and Storm Shadow missiles. These weapons have already proven their worth but come with severe limitations. The ATACMS missile can reach roughly 190 miles, enough for close targets, but nowhere near the deep strategic zones Ukraine needs to threaten. It carries a 500-pound warhead, enough to devastate supply depots or command centers, but its range keeps it confined to the front lines. The Storm Shadow pushes further, easily hitting targets around 150 miles away. As an air-launched missile, it follows terrain contours, sneaking past radar, much like a ghost in the night. Yet, even with this extended reach, it doesn't threaten the core of Russia's heartland. Both systems serve well in localized strikes but fall short of the sweeping destruction possible with systems like the Tomahawk. This gap leaves open a staggering question: if Ukraine gains access to long-range, precision-guided missiles, could they finally turn the tide of this endless war? Or will Russia's retaliations introduce chaos into an already volatile situation? The story is far from over, but the stakes have never been higher. A weapon capable of hitting deep inside enemy territory could forever change the game unless political and technical hurdles drown the dream before it even begins. In early October 2025, the world was stunned by a daring warning from the Russian leader. He declared that any attempt by the United States to send precision strike missiles to Ukraine would immediately result in a complete breakdown of diplomatic relations. But this was more than just words. Days later, the Belarusian president issued an ominous threat of nuclear retaliation if missiles crossed into Ukrainian territory. What made this escalation terrifying was the weapon system at the center of the tension, the venerable missile that first flew in the early 1970s. Despite its age, this weapon has been continuously upgraded and remains deadly accurate, with a range capable of reaching deep into enemy territory. Its guidance system combines GPS, terrain matching, and digital scene correlation, allowing it to fly as low as 100 feet, hugging the landscape. This low-altitude flight makes it invisible to most radars. Imagine a missile traveling at 480 miles per hour, cruising underneath radar detection, weaving through mountains and cities. Its engine is quieter, with less heat, making it even harder to track. Since the Gulf War, thousands of these missiles have been used, earning a reputation for precision and dependability. Recently, they struck Iranian nuclear sites and Russian defenses, proving their continued relevance. Now, with the potential for Ukraine to access this missile, the strategic landscape could drastically shift. The newest variants can be rerouted in mid-flight, targeting new locations or adapting to changing battlefield conditions. They carry adaptable warheads, soft targets, command centers, bunkers, all with the same missile. A single weapon, multipurpose and deadly precise. But herein lies the problem: these missiles were designed primarily for naval launch from ships or submarines. Ukraine lacks such vessels, forcing reliance on ground-based launchers. The most promising system is the new Typhon launcher, a mobile platform capable of firing the advanced missile. Developed in 2023, it can be quickly deployed, repositioned, and concealed, creating chaos for Russian defenses. Yet, transferring this system isn't straightforward. The US hesitates, and the delivery could be delayed for months. Ukraine might need to develop its own launcher, a complex process that could take years. Alternatively, many speculate they could adapt existing aircraft to carry these weapons, mounting missiles on Soviet-era fighters like the Yak-38 or Yak-141. But these planes are aging, and their compatibility with modern weapons is uncertain. However, the recent arrival of Western fighters, like the F-16, offers hope. These aircraft can accommodate NATO standard weapons and could potentially carry the missiles with future modifications. Still, integrating such sophisticated systems involves technical challenges and geopolitical debates. Another critical challenge is intelligence. Successful missile strikes depend on precise targeting information, detailed maps, real-time imagery, threat assessments. Ukraine relies heavily on NATO intelligence for deep strikes, but political decisions sometimes restrict sharing this vital data. During moments of heightened tension, crucial information can be withheld, hampering mission effectiveness. Meanwhile, Ukraine has a thriving drone industry, producing millions of quadcopters and long-range unmanned systems. These drones provide valuable intelligence and reconnaissance, but their payloads are limited, suitable for damaging aircraft and fuel depots, not hardened bunkers or command posts. So, can Ukraine's existing precision systems match the threat posed by these advanced missiles? They already employ small-range weapons like the MGM-140 attack missile and the Storm Shadow, which can reach around 150 to 190 miles. While effective, they are limited in reach, unable to strike deep inside Russia. In contrast, Tomahawk missiles could pierce through defenses at thousands of miles, targeting strategic sites previously out of reach. The twist? The full potential of missile systems like Tomahawk is not just about technology. It hinges on political decisions, intelligence sharing, and Ukraine's ability to adapt their existing infrastructure quickly. One thing is clear, the stakes have never been higher, and the battlefield is transforming rapidly. Are the world's defense strategies prepared for this new era of precision, speed, and devastating power? Or will hesitation and logistical hurdles leave critical targets vulnerable? In the ongoing battle for control and survival, the potential arrival of long-range missile systems could change everything. Imagine Ukraine unleashing a new wave of devastating strikes against Russia's key targets. Could a single missile wipe out a vital factory or refinery? The stakes have never been higher, and the world is watching closely because the balance of power teeters on the edge of this deadly new frontier. Now, consider the frightening scene at Yellow-Buga. This plant, producing thousands of cheap kamikaze drones, has become a critical link in Russia's war effort. It fuels relentless attacks on Ukrainian cities and infrastructure. The factory's busy hum and the scent of industrial fuel fill the air, a constant reminder of how vital this hub is for Russia's military machine. Currently, Kiev's forces can only reach it with complex, risky operations using long-range drones. But what if a single wave of missiles, such as the feared Tomahawk, could obliterate it in moments? The impact would be catastrophic, drastically cutting Russia's ability to wage close-range assaults. Moving beyond factories, deep beneath the surface lies Russia's oil and gas empire, a backbone of its economy. Despite sanctions, Russia still relies heavily on fossil fuel exports. Ukrainian strikes on pipelines and refineries have already chopped production by 20%. Yet, these traditional drone attacks struggle with payload limitations, requiring multiple sorties to cause significant damage. But what if powerful missiles like the Tomahawk were used? Their enormous warheads could destroy entire refineries in one hit, halting oil supply lines for months instead of days. They could strike distant infrastructure, severing Russia's oil transportation from the east to the west, essentially choking its economy. But here's the chilling question: can Ukraine effectively utilize these new weapons? The US stockpiles around 4,000 of the high-tech missiles, but how many would Ukraine receive? And how many are enough? The guidance systems are extremely precise, but their performance deep inside Russian territory remains uncertain. Will they evade defenses or be shot down? How many missiles are needed to take out a key military installation? Each missile represents a hefty investment, far more costly than the drones Ukraine currently produces. With limited numbers, every strike must be carefully planned, and every shot must count. The future hangs in this delicate balance, and the world waits to see how this deadly chess game unfolds. In the ongoing conflict, Ukraine faces a daunting challenge. How many of these precision weapons are truly needed to cripple a Russian military target? A single missile's cost is steep, much higher than the improvised drones they now produce for homeland defense. This raises a pivotal question: how should Ukraine strategically prioritize its targets? Imagine the critical moments before launch, tearing down Russia's advanced air defense systems like the S-400. Could a single missile remove a layer of Russia's formidable shield? Destroying the enemy's radar and missile batteries would carve gaps in their defenses, making way for future strikes. Once these defenses are down, Ukrainian aircraft and drones could strike unimpeded, devastating depots, command centers, and repair yards all at once. But the stakes grow even higher. Russia wouldn't stay idle. Their response would be swift, deploying those costly defenses more quickly, moving vital assets to fortified locations, and cloaking key sites in more elaborate concealment. This relentless adaptation would demand enormous resources, freezing some military operations, redirecting funds from frontline needs to fortress building. The key question remains, do these missiles truly mark a turning point? Or will their impact be limited to scattered damage, manageable within Russia's vast military scope? The answer hinges on complex factors: how many missiles Ukraine receives, how fast they're integrated, and whether supplies will sustain a prolonged effort. Yet, the real weight of this decision stretches far beyond battlefield tactics. It touches on the unpredictable politics of the wider world. In recent months, the approach of the current administration toward the conflict has been unpredictable, leaving both allies and enemies unsure of America's next move. The transfer of these weapons isn't just a military decision, it's a gamble with global consequences. The question remains, will this show of strength shift the tide, or ignite a new, more dangerous chapter in this relentless war? In 2025, President Trump's stance toward Russia surprised many NATO allies. After failed peace talks with Moscow and Kiev in early months, his administration shifted gears. Instead of pushing for negotiations, they adopted a transactional approach emphasizing burdens sharing with European partners. Threats to cut military aid to Ukraine surfaced regularly, insisting that European nations pick up more of the financial load. This transformed Europe into Kiev's strong backer, not only militarily but morally and politically. France and the UK pledged a combined €40 billion in military support for the year, matching NATO commitments without a single American dollar. Germany dramatically boosted its defense budget. Discussions emerged about extending Britain's nuclear umbrella over other European countries. Some nations like Romania and Denmark started forging direct military procurement deals with Ukraine. All of this set the stage for the unexpected news from Washington, the possibility of transferring Tomahawk missiles. But what does this really mean? The Biden administration has yet to make any commitments. They've only acknowledged ongoing discussions. Historically, such talks have been more about signaling than action, possible leverage rather than real supply. President Trump, known for unpredictable remarks, added fuel to the fire. In one interview, he joked about asking Putin if he'd mind if the US provided thousands of Tomahawks to Ukraine's enemies. Then he quickly added that he didn't like the idea. Could this be a deliberate tactic, keeping Russia guessing? Using the threat of escalation to sway negotiations? Is this push for military aid a genuine move or just a bargaining game? The tension hangs heavy in the air. Every word, every decision, could tip the balance, yet the outcome remains uncertain. Will Ukraine finally gain the firepower it desperately needs, or is this all just a strategic dance designed to keep everyone on edge, waiting for the next shocking move? In the ongoing race for military supremacy, Ukraine has been pushing its boundaries, but their current strike systems face critical limits. The American-made ATACMS missile, used effectively against depots and command centers, can't reach deep into enemy territory. It's accurate and packs a 500-pound explosive punch, but within about 190 miles, hardly enough to strike Russia's vital strategic targets. Why settle for close-range hits when global powerhouses can target Moscow itself? Imagine the deafening silence of anticipation in the Russian command centers, the cold metal of weapons racks, and the faint hum of surveillance drones overhead. Despite their precision, ATACMS can't go beyond these limits. Storm Shadow missiles, which have a range of about 150 miles, extend Ukraine's reach slightly, but not enough for a decisive blow. These air-launched missiles, launched from their Su-24s, follow terrain contours and guidance systems like their more famous counterparts. Still, they risk exposing the aircraft, risking pilots' lives. It's a delicate game of balance, push forward and risk detection, or hold back and fall short. But what if Ukraine could stretch its power 1,000 miles beyond? That changes everything. Launching from central Ukraine, they could hit military airbases near Voronezh, shell Russian command bunkers in Rostov, and strike key depots scattered across western Russia. The most chilling prospect? Reaching Moscow itself. Imagine the echoes of alarms ringing through the Kremlin, the shockwaves spreading through corridors of power. Even critical facilities producing deadly kamikaze drones in Tatarstan would become within reach, threatening Russia's most vital assets. Yet Ukraine isn't solely reliant on foreign technology. Their own drone industry has skyrocketed, capable of hitting targets over 600 miles away. During 2024 and 2025, they executed daring operations, hitting refineries, military bases, and industrial centers deep inside Russia. The apex was Operation Spiderweb, smuggling a fleet of around 120 drones into Russian airspace across Siberia. Using disguised trucks, they dispersed their swarm to 5 separate bases. The most distant was Belaya Air Base, nearly 2,800 miles from Ukraine's border, a feat that sounded impossible. Once in position, these tiny kamikaze drones were activated via mobile signals, executing deadly strikes on parked aircraft and military installations. It was chaos, a silent storm of destruction that left Russian defenses trembling. If such small, inexpensive devices could wreak havoc across an entire country, what could a missile like the Tomahawk, armed with cutting-edge guidance and fury, achieve? The stakes are rising. As Ukraine harnesses its indigenous long-range drone fleet and considers deploying Tomahawks, the entire landscape of the conflict shifts. The question remains, can they match the precision and reach of these supersonic giants? Or will the skies become a battlefield of shadows and whispers, where every move could ignite a global crisis? The answer is coming, but who will blink first? Incredible but true, these missiles can reach nearly all of Russia's major cities from Ukraine's borders. Imagine the sound of their engines roaring silently, racing through the air at 480 miles per hour, hugging terrain just 100 feet above ground to dodge radar detection. Their range? Up to a staggering 1,600 miles, covering thousands of miles of hostile territory, reaching cities like St. Petersburg with pinpoint accuracy. What truly makes these weapons terrifying isn't just their reach but their pinpoint guidance system. Uses of GPS, inertial navigation, terrain matching, and digital scene correlation work seamlessly. This high-tech orchestration allows the missile to fly so low, it's almost impossible to detect. The circular error probable? A mere 10 meters, meaning half of all missiles land within a 30-foot radius. Precision so deadly, it's almost surgical. Powering this marvel is a turbofan engine. It keeps the missile cruising steadily at 480 miles per hour, but with much greater fuel efficiency than traditional turbojets. Smaller, quieter, with a lower heat signature, these are the weapons of stealth. They can stay hidden, slip under enemy radars, and hit with devastating accuracy. These capabilities were proven during Desert Storm in 1991, where Tomahawks made up most of the strikes on Baghdad. Out of 290 launched, 242 hit precisely. Only stealth fighters like the F-117 could match their ability to attack the most heavily fortified targets. Fast forward to recent conflicts, Tomahawks again proved their worth in striking Iranian nuclear facilities and Russian defenses in 2025. Now, imagine Ukraine gaining this power. What happens if these weapons are unleashed at critical enemy targets? Will the entire strategic balance shift overnight? The stakes have never been higher. In early October 2025, the world watched in shock as Russia's leader made a chilling warning: if the United States supplies Ukraine with Tomahawk cruise missiles, Russia will sever all diplomatic ties with America. But the threat ran much deeper. Just days later, Belarus's president escalated. He warned that nuclear war could erupt if those missiles reached Ukrainian soil. This was no bluff. Behind the scenes, a weapon system from the Cold War era, over 50 years old, could transform the entire battlefield. Known as the Tomahawk missile, it packs a payload that can cause devastation at staggering distances up to 1,600 miles away. Imagine cities like St. Petersburg, vulnerable within seconds. It's a game changer, making Ukraine capable of striking deep into Russian territory with pinpoint precision, while evading all defenses. The guidance system is a masterpiece of technology: GPS, terrain matching, digital scene correlation, allowing the missile to fly low, hugging terrain like a shadow. It can avoid radar, slipping past enemy defenses. Its stealth lies in quiet turbofan engines, faster, quieter, and less detectable than ever before. During Desert Storm, it proved unstoppable. Today, it's been upgraded to retarget mid-flight, even sending back images of damage, giving commanders real-time battlefield insight. But there's a catch. These missiles were never meant for Ukraine. They are naval weapons, launched from ships or submarines. The US's ground-based systems, like the new Typhoon launcher, a mobile, quick-deploy unit, are an option. But even that could take months to develop or acquire. Ukraine would need to craft its own ground launchers or adapt aircraft, a complex, painstaking process. Western allies have delivered F-16 fighters, capable of carrying long-range missiles. But integrating such advanced weaponry isn't simple. Modifying old Soviet aircraft like the Yak-38 or Yak-141 to carry these missiles could be a solution, but aging planes and limited tech make it complicated. Yet, if Ukraine's aircraft can be upgraded, the entire game shifts. Still, the real obstacle is the reliance on intelligence sharing. For maximum impact, the missiles need advanced targeting data, images, terrain scans, satellite info, all provided by NATO. But during moments of tension, the West has pulled back that vital support, knowing Russia's response could be devastating. Meanwhile, Ukraine's drone industry is booming. They produce millions, short-range, long-range, eager to fill the gap. These aren't just toys, they're battlefield assets. Even without Tomahawks, Ukraine's precision strikes are growing more sophisticated. Now, the biggest question remains: will the arrival of such deep strike missiles shift the war's entire outcome? Currently, Ukraine's existing precision systems can reach only limited distances, about 150 miles, enough for key targets but not for strategic devastation deep inside Russia. Tomahawks, if deployed at scale, would threaten Russia's entire command, logistics, and nuclear deterrence. And here's the shocking part: this isn't just about missiles. It's about what they represent. The moment Ukraine gains credible deep strike capabilities, Russia's entire strategic picture crumbles. The balance shifts. The Kremlin's nightmare becomes inevitable, a future where Ukraine can strike security and command centers anytime. But the real twist? The delay in decision-making, the cautious approach from the West, might mean it's too little, too late. By the time these missiles arrive, the battlefield could have already changed forever, or perhaps, the decisive moment will be lost in bureaucratic paralysis. The real nightmare for Russia isn't a missile; they feared the dawn of a new era. In the end, the question remains: will this technological leap decide the fate of a war that could escalate into something unimaginable? Or are we watching a world inching closer to chaos? The choice is slipping through everyone's fingers. What happens next could forever redefine the future of conflict, and the shocking twist is, nobody knows who will hold the winning hand. In early October 2025, a thunderstorm of tension erupted in the heart of the global conflict zone. Russian President Vladimir Putin issued a chilling warning: any attempt by the United States to supply Ukraine with long-range missiles would be met with catastrophic consequences. But it was more than just a threat; it was an alarm bell ringing across the world. Days later, Belarusian President Alexander Lukashenko joined the chorus, turning the rhetoric into a potential declaration of nuclear war if Ukrainian soil was targeted by these advanced weapons. This tense standoff revealed something terrifying yet overlooked: a weapon system from the early 1970s could reshape the entire battlefield. The classic weapon, known as the Tomahawk missile, has been modernized and refined over decades, now capable of striking targets deep within Russia with deadly precision. Imagine a missile with a highly explosive warhead, capable of reaching over 1,000 miles, most of Russia's key cities, including major urban centers, now sitting squarely within its deadly reach. The stakes couldn't be higher. But what makes the Tomahawk truly terrifying is its guidance system. It's like a digital predator. Combining GPS, terrain matching, and intelligent terrain following, it flies as close as 100 feet above the ground, hugging the terrain to evade radar. Think of it: whisper quiet, low flying, almost ghosting through the air, rendering traditional radar defenses useless. These missiles can circle around defenses with a pinpoint accuracy, landing within just 10 meters of their targets, turning every strike into a surgical blow. In practice, the cruise missile's engine and advanced turbofan cruises at 480 miles per hour, cruising beneath enemy radar with a stealthy low profile. This technology was proven effective during Desert Storm, where it dominated initial strikes on Baghdad's defenses. Since then, the missiles have continued to evolve, capable of being redirected during flight, sending back live images of damage, and striking both soft targets and hardened bunkers with interchangeable warheads. They're versatile, deadly, and highly adaptable. But Ukraine's dilemma lies in the launch platform. These missiles were meant for naval vessels or submarines, not land-based forces. The key solution? The Typhoon launcher system, mobile, rapid to deploy, capable of firing volleys before disappearing into the landscape. Developed recently on a trailer-based platform, it uses the same vertical launch system the Navy employs, making it a nightmare for Russia to preemptively target. With the ability to set up and fire within 20 minutes, Ukraine could unleash a surprise assault, immobilizing Russian defenses and striking at vulnerable supply routes. Yet, the challenge isn't just launching these missiles. The real power lies in intelligence, the precise targeting data, terrain analysis, and real-time updates needed for maximum effect. Ukraine's reliance on aid from Western allies for satellite imagery and battlefield assessments remains fragile. The moment Russia escalates, these intelligence streams may dry up in an instant, leaving Ukraine with a deadly weapon but without the means to aim it accurately. Meanwhile, Ukraine's growing drone industry offers a glimmer of hope. Thousands of locally produced drones, small, nimble, and capable of delivering strikes, can complement or even replace traditional intelligence routes. But can these smaller tools match the destructive power and precision of the Tomahawk? Already, Ukraine has proven its capability, striking deep behind enemy lines, destroying ammunition depots containing hundreds of thousands of tons of munitions, and hitting command posts scattered across occupied territories. Yet, the key difference is range. The Tomahawk can reach targets that are too far for current Ukrainian weapons. The existing systems, such as the American MGM-140 Army Tactical Missile System and the United Kingdom's Storm Shadow, have expanded Ukraine's reach but still fall short of the vast potential of the missile system now being discussed. These weapons can hit targets roughly 200 miles away, useful, but limited when Ukrainian forces consider the sprawling expanse of Russian territory. The Tomahawk's extensive range, up to 1,600 miles, opens a new window of attack flexibility, threatening Russia's military infrastructure, supply chains, and command centers with unprecedented precision. The stakes are clear, given the existing Russian air defense network, which has already lost dozens of key radars and command posts to Ukrainian strikes. The introduction of long-range missiles could push Russia into a precarious defensive position. Russian leadership knows this, hence the heated rhetoric, the aggressive military posturing. They're aware that if Ukraine gains access to this weapon, the entire balance of power could shift overnight, forcing Russia to choose between risky retreats or exposing vital bases to destruction. Where does this leave us? The possibility of Ukraine wielding such a powerful missile system could turn the tide, unleashing a new wave of strategic strikes. Yet, formidable obstacles remain: platform development, integration challenges, and the delicate web of intelligence sharing. All the while, Russia's responses could alter the very fabric of this conflict, escalating tensions, unleashing new threats, or perhaps finally revealing the true limits of its power. One thing is certain: as this story unfolds, the world watches in stunned silence, waiting for the next shockwave to ripple through the battlefield. The balance of power may be on the verge of a fundamental shift. Are we prepared for what's coming? Imagine a world on the brink of a new, devastating chapter where the mere threat of a missile could ignite an unstoppable chain reaction. What if a single weapon could shift the balance of power, or plunge the entire globe into chaos? This is not fantasy. This could be the reality we stand on right now. Recent discussions reveal the United States might be subtly pressuring Russia into negotiations. Not with empty words or passive threats, but with real danger, arming Ukraine with advanced weaponry. Unlike vague proposals for peace, this signals a dangerous shift, turning Ukraine into a front line armed with the world's most powerful strike systems. But what does this mean for global stability? Could this escalation push Moscow to the edge, where nuclear threats become not just words, but deadly actions? Or is it all just a bluff in a high-stakes game of diplomacy? The Kremlin's warnings have echoed loudly. Vladimir Putin has repeatedly hinted at nuclear responses to any major escalation. Discussions about NATO membership, deliveries of advanced weapons, strikes deep into Russian territory all swirl into a cloud of potential catastrophe. Russia's nuclear doctrine remains disturbingly flexible, allowing strike options if critical infrastructure or strategic command structures are threatened. The question is, do the modern capabilities like the formidable Tomahawk missile cross that invisible line? Could they push Russia to see nuclear retaliation as the only rational response? Or is this all just a dangerous game of signals and countersignals, where no one truly knows the threshold? And here's where it gets even more chilling. Russia keeps warning of nuclear escalation with every new move, yet nothing catastrophic has happened so far. No nuclear response, despite threats flaring every time new weapons or aircraft arrive. It's as if Moscow's red line is shrouded in fog, an uncertain boundary that shifts and blurs with each warning. How close can we get before that boundary shatters? When will Moscow decide that the risk of losing everything outweighs the terror of nuclear retaliation? Even Putin himself might be uncertain, his decisions swinging wildly in the chaos of an unpredictable war. The stakes skyrocket. The decision to supply Ukraine with deep strike missiles could be the spark that ignites the fuse. But how many missiles are enough? Is there a number that triggers the worst-case scenario where nuclear threats become real? And if so, what would that mean for millions of innocent lives? Could Putin see the presence of such weapons as an existential threat and intolerable risk and choose to strike first? The line between stability and catastrophe is razor-thin, and in this game of risk and power, nobody truly understands where it lies. The universe holds its breath. Because the moment is fragile, each decision, each threat building towards an unpredictable climax. One wrong move, one misjudged signal, could unleash consequences beyond imagination. Are we prepared for the devastating repercussions of crossing a dangerous threshold that might lead us into madness? Or have we already edged too close, with no way back? The answer remains hidden in the shadows of this volatile chessboard, where life, death, and global survival hang by a thread. Imagine a missile so precise and versatile that it can strike with deadly accuracy from over 1,000 miles away, turning strategic battlegrounds into echoing ruins. Its roar, a distant drone, whispers through the air, almost silent, yet devastating. Could this weapon redefine the balance of power in the most dangerous conflict of our time? The missile in question is the formidable Tomahawk, a relic born in 1972 but perfected through decades. Over 2,350 of these weapons have been unleashed in combat since the Gulf War, constantly upgraded to stay ahead of enemies. Today's versions pack a high explosive warhead weighing 1,000 pounds, capable of hitting targets from 1,000 to 1,600 miles away. Just plot that distance from the Russia-Ukraine border. Most of Russia's major cities, including St. Petersburg, lie within reach of this modern marvel of destruction. But range isn't the only harrowing aspect. The true terror lies in its guidance system, a blend of GPS, inertial navigation, terrain matching, and digital scene correlation. It's like giving the missile a sixth sense, allowing it to hug the terrain. Flying as low as 100 feet above ground, it slips under radar, evading detection. Imagine a sleek predator moving silently through the landscape, its circular error probable just 10 meters, meaning it can land within a 30-foot radius nearly half the time. The secret? A turbofan engine that cruises at around 480 miles per hour, faster than most cars but quieter, with a lower heat signature. It's a ghost in the sky. During the Gulf War of 1991, these missiles played a critical role, delivering a devastating blow to Baghdad's defenses. More recently, in 2025, they struck Iranian nuclear facilities with precision, destroying valuable targets with surgical accuracy. The capabilities are staggering. Now, with the ability to retarget mid-flight, guiding itself to new coordinates in real time and even sending back battlefield images, the Tomahawk's destructive potential is piquing global fears. But a question lingers: how could Ukraine, without a navy or submarines, unleash this beast? The answer lies in innovative ground-based launchers, like the US-designed Typhon system, built on modified trailers, swiftly deployable, and capable of firing these long-range wonders. Yet, logistical hurdles remain. Developing or acquiring such systems won't be quick or simple. Ukraine might attempt ad hoc solutions, mounting missiles on trucks, or modifying existing aircraft. But these options are fraught with technical challenges and uncertain success. And what of intelligence? The missile's true power depends on precise data, terrain maps, target images, threat assessments. This reliance on NATO's support complicates things further, especially when political tensions threaten to cut off vital information. Without real-time intelligence, the missile's precision wanes, turning a devastating tool into a reckless gamble. Meanwhile, Ukraine's burgeoning drone industry offers a glimmer of hope. Thousands of domestically produced drones, capable of precise strikes, are already in play. But can they match the destructive reach of missiles like the Tomahawk? With existing systems limited to hundreds of miles. The new long-range threats could alter the war's entire landscape, pushing Ukraine into a new era of strategic warfare, one where silence, speed, and deadly precision reign supreme. How will this game of technological chess unfold? Will these weapons become a shield, or will they escalate the chaos into an uncontrollable nightmare? The answers remain locked in the shadows of this new battlefield, waiting to be revealed. In the ongoing struggle for power and survival, Ukraine has been fighting tooth and nail. They've managed to hit targets just inside Russian territory using strategy and precision-guided weapons like the ATACMS missile. It's a weapon considered highly accurate, with a 500-pound explosive payload, but here's the catch: its range maxes out at around 190 miles. That forces Kiev to operate close to the front lines or within striking distance of critical Russian-held targets. Can they really punch through the tight confines of this limitation? Imagine the sounds of distant explosions, the sharp crack of missiles tearing through the air, and the burning smell of fuel lingering in the air. Closer to the battlefield, Ukraine's fighters target ammunition depots, command posts, and radar systems, yet deep inside Russia, their reach simply falls short. A missile must be within 190 miles to make an impact. But what if they wanted to strike Moscow? The distance is far greater, over 600 miles away. That's where the Storm Shadow missiles come into play. These air-launched weapons extend Kiev's reach to around 150 miles, still not enough for the most critical targets deep inside Russia. Unlike the Tomahawk, which is launched from ships or submarines, Storm Shadows are carried by fighter jets or bombers, like the Ukrainian Su-24s. They use terrain-following flight paths, hugging the ground to evade radar detection, almost ghost-like silhouettes rushing across the landscape. These weapons afford some extension of the strike range, especially if Ukrainian aircraft approach closer to the front lines, risking exposure. But they still leave many strategic targets out of reach, like the heart of Moscow or the vast military installations sprawling across Russia's territory. Enter the game-changer, the 1,000-mile range of the Tomahawk missile. Imagine the tactical revolution this brings. From central Ukraine, these weapons could reach airbases near Voronezh, command bunkers in Rostov, and vital military facilities across western Russia, potentially even Moscow itself. The implications are staggering: a direct threat to Russia's core command centers and crucial infrastructure. Could this weapon threaten the supply chains of Iran's drone factories in Tatarstan, pumping out thousands of deadly unmanned vehicles targeting Ukrainian cities? Absolutely. Ukraine boasts its own advanced drone industry, capable of launching strikes over sweeping distances. By 2024 and 2025, Ukrainian drones have already targeted sensitive sites over 600 miles inside Russia: refineries, airbases, industrial hubs harboring the potential for catastrophic damage. The jewel in their crown was Operation Spiderweb, executed in June 2025. Ukrainian special forces infiltrated Russian territory, smuggling around 120 drones into key airbases by land. These tiny flying bombs were activated via mobile networks, autonomously smashing parked aircraft and critical infrastructure almost 2,800 miles away in Siberia. This escalation creates a new, terrifying reality: weapon systems that could strike deep into the heart of Russia, reshaping the battlefield completely. Are these long-range tactics enough to change the entire war? Or will they trigger a response so fierce it reshapes the global balance of power? The next chapter is about to be written in the shadows of unthinkable possibilities. In the tense shadows of global conflict, the possibility of arming Ukraine with a weapon from the 1970s has sent shockwaves through world powers. Imagine a missile system so precise, so devastating, that it could redefine the entire battlefield. Yet, its very presence raises a haunting question: how close is the world to nuclear brinksmanship? When stories of war escalate, the line separating deterrence from disaster becomes razor-thin. Previously, rumors surfaced that the US might have casually asked Russia, "What if we handed your opponent thousands of these powerful missiles?" Putin's sharp rejection hinted at the stakes involved. Could this be a ploy to push Russia into negotiations? Or is it a dangerous chess move with stakes far higher than anyone realizes? As powerhouses quietly maneuver, the enigma deepens. Now, the geopolitical dance shifts dramatically. More than just a symbolic gesture, the potential transfer of these weapons to Ukraine could reshape the entire combat zone. The US seems to be playing a high-stakes game, leaning into signals rather than offers, trying to pressure Russia without crossing a dangerous line. But this delicate balance leaves Ukraine in a state of limbo, unsure whether tomorrow's plans will include these game-changing arms. Would they find themselves suddenly thrust into a global confrontation? The question hangs heavy in the air, thick with uncertainty. Meanwhile, Vladimir Putin's repeated nuclear threats cast a long, ominous shadow. Each escalation, be it discussions about NATO membership, the delivery of advanced weapons, or even strikes inside Russian territory, evokes the specter of nuclear response. His words suggest that if critical infrastructure or strategic command is threatened, Russia might unleash devastating force. But what does Putin's ambiguous doctrine truly mean? When will these threats cross from rhetoric into reality? Could the mere presence of deep penetration missiles tip the scales, triggering a catastrophic response? Russia's warnings aren't new, they echo past declarations made during high-stakes military deliveries and diplomatic tensions. Yet, none have led to the feared nuclear fireworks. Are these words a bluff, or is Moscow's threshold for nuclear escalation lower than anyone dares to admit? At what point would Russia believe that conventional weaponry threatens its very survival? That decision remains shrouded in mystery, possibly even to Vladimir himself. The world watches, holding its breath, as the risk of catastrophe hangs in the balance. As Ukraine explores its options, the costs and benefits become starkly clear. How many missiles are enough to shift the tide? Would that moment push Russia over the edge? Or could the transfer spark a crisis even more disastrous, one that nobody truly wants but none can fully prevent? It's a gamble with humanity's future hanging in the balance. The faint outline of a new, dangerous era emerges, where the line between conventional conflict and nuclear catastrophe blurs, and global stability teeters on a knife's edge. In early October 2025, tensions escalated dramatically. President Vladimir Putin issued a chilling warning: if the United States supplies Ukraine with Tomahawk cruise missiles, Russia will sever all diplomatic ties with America. This was no idle threat. Just days later, Belarusian President Alexander Lukashenko raised the stakes, hinting at nuclear war if these powerful weapons crossed into Ukrainian territory. This isn't just talk, it's a glimpse into a new, terrifying chapter. What makes these weapons so threatening? Their ability to strike deep behind enemy lines, hitting key Russian targets with devastating precision. The sheer speed, range, and stealth of these missiles could change everything in this ongoing conflict. Imagine cities like St. Petersburg vulnerable to attacks that could come from anywhere, at any time. The ruling powers know this. Their secret weapon, a missile system designed decades ago but still deadly as ever. The current debate boils down to a critical question: will Western allies risk pushing Russia into a corner? By mid-2025, the possibility of UAVs and ground-launched Tomahawk systems sparking a new arms race looms large. These missiles have proven their worth repeatedly in combat, striking targets hundreds of miles away with surgical accuracy. Their ability to reprogram in mid-flight and send battlefield images back to commanders could redefine modern warfare. But there's a catch. Ukraine's lack of compatible launch platforms makes deploying these missiles a logistical nightmare. The most promising option? The mobility of new ground-based launchers, rapidly deployable. concealed, and capable of firing salvos before vanishing into the shadows. Yet, such systems are still in development, and official transfers remain stalled. Meanwhile, Ukraine's indigenous drone industry is booming. Their homegrown tech could soon offer alternative long-range strike options, reducing reliance on Western systems. So the question is, can Ukraine truly level the playing field? With current weapons, they can attack targets nearby, but deep strike capability remains elusive. The arrival of Western fighter jets like the F-16 offers hope for better integration. But even then, the core problem persists. Without reliable intelligence sharing, even the most advanced missiles are useless. When Russia threatens to escalate, potentially even with tactical nuclear options, the stakes couldn't be higher. In this high-stakes game, precision is everything. The weapons, the logistics, the alliances, they all hinge on a fragile balance. The unknown remains: will Western countries finally decide to give Ukraine the tools to turn the tide? Or will hesitation cost the world dearly? The answer could come at any moment, and when it does, the entire strategic landscape could shift forever. And here's the shocking twist: as Ukraine's military prospects grow more powerful, Russia's fears escalate exponentially. Could one move trigger a cascade of conflicts that spirals out of control? The only thing certain is that in this shadow war, the line between peace and catastrophe is thinner than ever. The future of global stability may hinge on a single decision: will it be made in time? Following the strategic advantage of mobility, the next challenge lies in deploying these advanced weapons effectively. While systems like the Typhoon launcher provide quick setup and rapid repositioning, making enemy targeting nearly impossible, the real hurdle is the complex targeting process that depends heavily on outside intelligence. Without detailed terrain maps and real-time target images, even the most sophisticated missiles can miss their mark. Imagine the tense silence before launch, the faint hum of the launcher as it powers up. Once fired, the missile relies on GPS, terrain matching, and digital scene correlation, sensing the landscape beneath it, tailoring its flight path in real time. This precision guidance limits collateral damage and ensures deadly accuracy. But here's the catch: Ukraine must maintain an intricate network of intelligence support from allies. Without continuous flow of detailed data, these missiles risk becoming less effective than their potential suggests. Historically, when Russia sensed a threat, external intelligence supply was often cut, leaving critical weapons like the Tomahawk at risk of underperformance. This is the Achilles heel of such weapons systems. As Russian aggression grows and global tension escalates, dependence on outside sources magnifies vulnerability. Will Ukraine be able to harness the full power of these weapons, or will political hesitation and logistical challenges diminish their strategic impact? The staggering reality is that, despite their technological sophistication, employing these missile systems outside their intended naval platforms remains a complex puzzle. The idea of adapting air-launched missiles for ground use or mounting them on trucks sounds promising, yet it's fraught with engineering hurdles. Ukraine's aging aircraft, like the Su-24 Fenta, might be modified to carry these weapons, but aging airframes can't match the precision of modern platforms. Meanwhile, recent arrivals like the F-16 fighters, with their NATO-standard hardpoints, could streamline integration if political will aligns. Though the potential is enormous, the pathway remains riddled with delays and uncertainties. The daunting question is, can Ukraine turn this engineering challenge into a game-changing advantage before Russian forces adapt their defenses? Or will bureaucratic delays, technical obstacles, and geopolitical hesitations limit their ability to unleash this new era of warfare? The clock is ticking.